Happy New Year, first video of 2026. So I guess the first off, the thing to start off with this chapter is it reinforced the idea that, yeah, Taro's running out of time. His disguise is breaking, and the longer he stays in it, so I imagine we are near that point where he is going to be exposed, and given everything else that went on with this chapter, it's practically a guarantee at this point that the disguise breaking feels like one of those things that's going to feel like a sort of hero entrance kind of scenario where the disguise is going to break right at the point where Taro himself is needed, which will be right around probably the time when Uzuki's group shows up, which, again, given how this chapter plays out, is likely to be happening very soon. Like, this chapter definitely pushed for the idea that Uzuki's plans are moving forward, and they're pretty much all but ready. The only thing that they need to do now is disable the pretty much defense systems. With that said, this chapter isn't even making it subtle anymore. The old man is the database, as after a toss-up with Amane, where the letter escapes, Taro runs into the old janitor who exposes Taro right from the start of their conversation, like saying, you may be wearing a disguise, but I recognize you, Taro Sakamoto, and all that shit. And it's within the conversation itself of Taro realizing the old man's been around since his time as the student that sticks out the most, because that kind of indicates he's been working there even longer than Taro's time of going to school there. So yeah, it's like little breadcrumbs like that are the kind that really say, you old man, you are the database, aren't you? Like, and of course, it was made even more brutally honest when the old man revealed that Amane is his grandson. Although that in itself also reveals a rather startling truth, which is that when we cut back to Amane after the conversation between Taro and the old janitor, it's revealed to us that Amane doesn't know that his own grandfather is the database. Like, we see him genuinely believe the keys were real as he agonizes over being unable to find the room where the database is located. And it's one of those things where it makes sense that even Amane wouldn't know, as it was established right from the beginning of this arc that information on the database has been kept under very strict surveillance, and only a very select few have been allowed to know about this. But have been able to know about who the database is. But now this adds a new dynamic to the whole situation itself, because once Amane finds out his grandfather is the database, it's going to really test where his loyalties and his morals truly lie. Does he truly hate the JAA enough to kill his own grandfather, or will he turn against the cause he's been championing? And while the answer is obvious with the way it's been set up, with Kashima admitting to Amane that they plan to recreate the massacre at the JA with the JCC, the morbid part of me would like it if Amane did kind of decide to go for the kills to see him be pushed over that edge, but again, we pretty much know how he's being set up here. In saying that, though, we do get a flashback that supposedly reveals that Amane saw his father kill his mother, but the key word there being supposedly, because it was just a small glimpse of seeing Yots Amura standing over his wife's dead body, and we don't know exactly what happened. And while it still could be the case that he killed her, scenes like this tend to be followed by a later reveal of showing things are kind of. The scenario itself was covered in shades of gray. So even if Yotsamura did commit the deed, it's usually the reasoning and motivation that is a lot more complex and not as straightforward. But that just raises the question of why he had to kill her, and hell, even more so, why basically Yotsamura even kept silent about the lie. Like, it's obvious this was a JAA operation, but there's a lot about just this one panel and scenario that feels very shady, where for as much of a misunderstanding as it is, you can still see why Amane arrived at the conclusion he did, because between the truth about his grandfather and what happened with his mother, the JA has been keeping secrets from him, and it does keep and the fact that they're keeping those secrets from him, it does make them look more shady more shady that they're keeping those secrets, even if it's like, even if they have good intentions, and even if it's their intention to seem that way. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of hard not to it's kind of hard not to pretty much see like Amane's side of things now with this flashback, considering even if we know it's a misunderstanding, like, it's, you can understand why he's angry at the JAA, honestly. And and yes, I do see that there's a very delicious irony to the fact that Amane intends to kill his father with the same weapon that Yosamura used to supposedly kill his wife. Like, it's that ever-ending poetic circle of basically family and death kind of thing. And yeah, the chapter ends with things going from bad to worse, as Kashima not only orders Amane to abandon looking for the database and instead disabling the JC's defense systems, but we also see Kanaguri and uh, Club Jam is with him as well, showing the invasion is moving forward. And it wasn't until reading this chapter and this ending that it finally occurred to me, I don't think we're going to see Uzuki leading the charge in this arc. Like, I should have pieced that together already, but he's he's definitely, I think Uzuki is going to keeping himself out of this. I think the more I thought about it, I think Uzuki is definitely going to be keeping himself out of this particular situation, just being kind of like the point man. Which, if that's the case, I'm not going to lie, it does surprise me a little bit, because while we have seen him kind of direct everything from behind the scenes, but the only one time he got directly involved was with the JAA invasion incident. This is the one time I thought Uzuki would want to be in the spotlight, given his ties to the JCC and JA, and especially when dealing with such a matter as wanting to erase his existence from the record. Like, you'd think want to be there in order to see it, in order to see the job done personally, but I guess it's not as much of a high priority case for him either. So he's putting those he trusts in charge. Of course, I think this, of course, as we all know, this may be the thing he comes to regret, well, like later on, because and just not being there himself. Like, I can kind of see that happening. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, and just hit the subscribe button, guys. But yeah, Dark Knight of Anime signing off. 2026, everyone. It's the start of a new year. Hopefully it's a good one.